Hi, I'm Marsh from StrataGames. Today we're playing some more Pauper. Today we're playing Bogles. This is a deck I have not shown on the channel yet, but I've been wanting to get around to for a little while, as I just like to try out different decks. And there's been a bit of an innovation with the deck recently, which I wanted to give a try. So the whole premise of the deck is that you have a bunch of hexproof creatures that you suit up with your auras, and then you attack for lethal, and your opponent's removal is pretty much useless because all of your guys have hexproof. So we have 4 Gladecover Scout, 4 Slippery Bogle, and 2 Silhana Ledgewalker. Now the new innovation with the deck for the last couple weeks, maybe month or so, has been Aura Gnarlid, which is pretty interesting because it's almost antithetical to the deck. It does not have hexproof, meaning it can just eat all of the removal that your opponent has. But it actually is kind of interesting because game 1, if you play the Gnarlid, they're probably going to have removal for it. It's kind of unfortunate it's just going to die, so not really what you want to be banking on in game 1. But in games 2 and 3, when your opponent has sided out all or most of their removal, then they might not have removal to kill the Gnarlid, so that weakness is already gone. Plus, if they actually see the Gnarlid, then they have to decide if they want to keep in a bunch of removal for the 2 of Gnarlid we have, and then that removal can be useless against the Gladecover Scouts and the Bogles and things like that. So it is pretty interesting. Also, this is a card from Rise of the Eldrazi, one of my favorite sets, so I'm always interested to try it out. But it gets +1/+1 for each aura on the battlefield, so naturally it's going to be growing. It's kind of like it has an ethereal armor on it inherently, minus the first strike. And then also, creatures with power less than it can't block it, which makes it so it can't get chomped very easily at all. And if it's got more than 5 power, it's probably going to be totally unblockable, even against terrors and things like that. In this column, we have fixing and some card selection with Abundant Growth, Utopia Sprawl, and Malevolent Rumble. For lands, we just have a bunch of forests, plains, and a couple Ash Barrens. Then here we have our 1-drops, Ethereal Armor, one of the best cards in the deck, one of Sentinel's Eyes, a couple Hyena Umbras for more protection, and Rancor. And then we have our big hitters, 3-mana enchantments, Armadillo Cloak, which gives +2/+2 trample and basically lifelink, although it's a trigger, and Ancestral Mask, which buffs your creature twice for each other enchantment you have. Really, really strong. And then in our sideboard, we have Standard Bearer, which can counteract our opponent's Standard Bearer. If they play a Standard Bearer, we'd have to target them with our auras, so this makes it so that that's not the case. Mask of Long Grace just gives protection from black and red. Lifelink is nice against a red deck. Fairy Macabre helps us survive against the combo graveyard decks going around. Flaring Pain is nice against Prismatic Strands or any fog deck. A couple Pyroblasts and Ram Through. And we can cast these red spells off of the Utopia Sprawls and the Abundant Growths, which can give us access to any color of mana. So that's the deck. Let's take it for a league and see how we do. All right, we're on the play here, and we have nothing special, but certainly a reasonable keep. Gladecover Scout on turn 1. Turn 2, we can give it a Rancor or an Ethereal Armor because of the Ash Barrens we could cycle. And then we have a Gnarlid later, so I don't think we're going to mulligan this by any means. So we're just going to start with the Gladecover Scout. We're on the play, and they haven't sided, obviously, so just getting aggressive quickly is the best idea here. They are something blue, which is a pain, because if it's anything like Terror, they could have a Spell Pierce. If it's Faeries, I can't really attack with this with a Rancor on it, because they could Brine Barrow and trade, and that's not what I want. So I think we're going to play an Abundant Growth on this forest so we can get white, then play an Ethereal Armor, and just hope that resolves. They have a Brainstorm, but not a Spell Pierce, which is nice. So we're going to get to hit for 3. Brainstorm means probably not Fairies. It could be Terror, which shouldn't be too bad for us, I don't think. Obviously, we want to dodge counterspells and things like that. It could also be High Tide, in which case we probably will just stomp them very quickly. They do get a Snow-Covered Island here and Preordain. Preordain and Brainstorm, and the fact that they're not holding up a counterspell here makes me think it probably is High Tide. So we're going to want to go as fast as possible. So I could just play a Cloak here. We hit for 6. However, if it is High Tide, they're not going to have any interaction. I hope I don't die this turn. I can't do anything about that, but I could play the Gnarlid, which is already a 4/4. We hit for 3, so they're at 14. This is a 4/4. Next turn, we can play Cloak to give +4 to our team, which is 7/11. Not quite lethal. If we can also get a land to play the Rancor, we can get there. I think the best bet is just playing the Gnarlid. I think if they were any non-High Tide deck, they would have held up a counterspell there, so I think it just makes sense to assume that's what they are and force them to go off right now if they want to. Give it a try. They Preordain. So yeah, a land here, because each aura already buffs our team by 2. Plus these each give +2 power, so this is 4/8. So a land here would win us the game. Not Nash Barons. Actually, they have Giga Drowse, it looks like. So that's not going to happen, actually. Reach Through Mists with a Puppetry. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I guess the Gnarlid not having hexproof is relevant. Abundant Growth is decent. That grows here. Also, it lets our Ash Barons tap for anything. Ancestral Mask, We cannot play now. We used up our mana, but we can Rancor this and Bogle. So they get one more turn, which might just be what they needed, but next turn we can definitely get them, so here's hoping. They do High Tide, knowing they have to go off. They got 2 High Tides, so not looking great for us. I definitely forgot a little bit about the fact that they could just puppetry down our Gnarlid, so it's possible I should have just gone all in on the Scout. If I'd played the Armadillo Cloak, we would have gotten in for 3 more damage the previous turn, and then 3 more damage this turn, so we would not have killed them regardless, but still good to keep in mind. Probably should take out the Gnarlids in this matchup, since there's no way they're going to be taking out puppetries and things like that. They're going to have the way to tap it down regardless. They're playing Sift Through Sands, which I don't think most of these versions are playing. I wonder if they have an Unspeakable in their deck. Peer Through Depths, they find a Lorien. Hidden Strings, so they can cast Lorien. Reach Through Mists with the puppetry, gains them 3 mana. Ideas Unbound. And they do not get there with card draw off this Reach Through Mists. I guess they just petered out. Okay, so we get Pyroblasts, but I'm reading Standard Bearer, and when an opponent is choosing targets as part of casting a spell they control or activating an ability they control, they must target at least 1 Flag Bearer. That means that this counters the first Psychic Puppetry. So that feels like a card to bring in here. None of the rest of these are very relevant. Maybe they're on like Flood of Recollection, but not usually the case. So we'll take out the Gnarlids. The life gains and Trample are both pretty irrelevant, so honestly Cloak might just be one of our worst cards here. Usually it's amazing, but against an opponent where life gain doesn't matter and Trample doesn't matter, it's 3 mana for the same buff as like a Rancor. So yeah, I think it might just be these 6 for these 6. We got to keep in mind that we brought in Pyroblasts, so if we play a Utopia Sprawl and don't need it to be on white or green, we might need, we should make it on red. This one's not bad. We have Abundant Growth with Pyroblast, plus we have a Glade Cover Scout and 2 Ethereal Armors. Pretty fast clock here. Get another Bogle, shouldn't really matter which one we play. They Brainstorm and then Stream of Thought to mill the Brainstorm cards off? No, they just mill us. Interesting. Oh, I guess they shuffled with this, so fair enough. All right, so here, I'm going to just have to assume they don't have a High Tide this turn. They only have 5 cards in hand, so I don't think that's unreasonable. So I think we're going to Abundant Growth and then Ethereal Armor. Ooh, Utopia Sprawl. I can do that next turn. Although if I don't get a land, it's a little awkward with holding up Pyroblast, but I think we just do Armor this turn and swing. We can probably set it up so we can kill them in 2 turns, would be my guess. Yeah, so they pass. Looks like they might Giga Drowse our lands, though, or just Reach Through Mist's Puppetry. Fair enough. I could Pyroblast this. I don't think that's necessary here. Definitely is awkward, because now we could... all we can do is Sprawl or play another 1/1, which we don't really want to do. So I'll Sprawl here for white, since we have red off of this. Hit for 4. That definitely could throw off our timeline here. Just gonna hope that they don't have it again here, but they're starting with a Brainstorm, which is a good sign. And they pass. Looks like they're doing something again. Peer Through Depths with the Puppetry. So if I let that go, then I can Ethereal Armor onto here. We hit for 10. No, 9. We get them next turn, but we're susceptible following turn. I guess I can just let this go, hit for 4, and then next turn we hold up Pyroblast if they try to go off, and then next turn if they don't, or even if we stop them with the Pyroblast, then we can armor up and we should be able to get them in for lethal regardless. They find a scroll, so yeah, we'll just swing for 4 and pass with the Pyroblast up. They go for the scroll. I'm gonna just let that happen. If they cast High Tide here, we'll obviously counter it, but if they go for another tap here, we can counter spell with the Pyroblast and then armor up, or even just let it happen and then armor up. Either one, it should win us the game, unless they're going to tap both with like a Reach Through Mists or Giga Drowse. It is a Giga Drowse, so... but they only have 3, so I can counter whichever one targets one of the lands once. So this land's being targeted twice. Oh, that's not going to work, because I have to tap this to counter, and then I can't armor. Yeah, that's annoying. So there's no reason to counter this one. And countering this doesn't do anything. Well, I guess they got us here if they can go off next turn, unless we draw a Plains, which we don't. Well, we're going to hope that they don't have it. They only have 5 cards, but one of them is a High Tide, so they could definitely go off here. Another High Tide. Ideas Unbound. It's possible I should have Pyroblasted one of the taps earlier, but then I still would have been susceptible this turn, but I would have been able to get the Ethereal Armor down 1 turn earlier. I was banking on being able to use it this turn. Yeah, I guess I should have done that. They're going to start comboing. Eventually they get there. So I could have Pyroblasted when they tried to tap, and I got the Ethereal Armor down. We would have won, although they would have... well, we would have won based on the timeline of this game, but they obviously would have gone for a turn earlier. They might have still won anyway. But still pretty close. I think we need to play that a little bit better. I would love to see a standard bearer, as that would help a bit. This is a turn 1 scout and maybe a turn 3 mask that doesn't do anything. If we get like a plains right away, it's decent, but this is not going to do it. This is also not very good. We have a little bit of interaction, but we have no mana for it. We do have our Bogles, but nothing to buff them up. I just don't think we can rely on that. And of course, now we have no lands. And now we have a standard bearer and a way to find plains, I guess. Although that means we get rid of a scout. That can't be right. I guess a standard bearer kind of just screws their game up a lot. And we don't really have the speed for this. I guess we just hope we find something else. They preordain. We get another forest. Couldn't be more useless. Yeah, we got to take plains. If we just take like a Bogle, we don't have any way to suit it up, and we probably just lose to them pretty quickly. But a standard bearer could interfere with their plans quite a bit. I don't expect they kept snaps in. And if they have to target this for every untap, it's pretty good. We are drawing really poorly though. Cycle a Lorien. We're going to cycle Ash Barrens just to thin the deck minorly. And they're going to reach through mists, tapping this in our upkeep. That's fine. We aren't drawing anything relevant. I will probably start putting buffs on the spawn if we draw them to get some damage going. Obviously, we won't go on the standard bearer, even though it's 1 more damage, because this is the card that they can and have to target to tap down. Well, we'll attack for 1. We did find a Glade Cover Scout, so if this standard bearer holds them off for a very long time, maybe we can get there, but it's got to be like, we have to draw pretty well, and it's still going to be like 3 or 4 turns at the least. And this isn't going to hold them off forever. As soon as they have 2 puppetries, they just have to burn 1 of them on this. If they have enough high tides, it won't matter, and they'll be fine. But we do find a Rancor, so that'll speed up our clock a little bit. Attack for 4 and pass. They are going for it, though. There's a high tide and another. Merchant Scroll, maybe they do have 1 of Snap in there. They do. So they snap, and now they can do whatever they want. I guess keeping in the snap because of Gnarlid they saw, but that still seems kind of weird. And eventually we die. If we hadn't mulliganed to 4 and had 3 more, even 1 or 2 more relevant spells that actually did some damage, I think we could have won that one pretty easily. But all right, we're on the play here, and we have all plains. Let me check, because I'm pretty sure we only have 3 plains in our entire deck. That's exactly right. Okay. Otherwise, this hand would be pretty good, pretty reasonable. So I guess it's just one of those days. This one is fine enough, seeing as we have the Ash Barrens. I guess we'll get rid of the... We're not playing one of these until turn 2 anyway, so I might as well just get rid of the Glade Cover and go for the pseudo flying, I think. Looks like we're against Black Sack, which is a really bad matchup for us, because the Curse Marauder just destroys us right away, and especially bad that I got rid of our second creature here. But what else are you going to do? I think we just have to go for the Ledgewalker and hope that the earlier we get it going, the less likely it is they have the Marauder. There's a Beetle and a Carrion Feeder. Decent start for them. In fact, they could, yeah, they sack the Shambling Gas, get a treasure, and they can pump out a flyer or something, like an Infestation Sage, or maybe just another fodder creature, maybe another Beetle or something too. Yep, there's the Sage, which means I was thinking about just doing Rancor Rumble, but I can't do that anymore because this can become a flyer that can block the 1 toughness, so we have to go this way, which isn't bad either. We get in for lifelink. Trample is good. As soon as we see an Accursed Marauder, we will probably lose, though, which I'm going to guess they probably play 2 or 3 main deck and an extra copy in the sideboard. Also, sorry about the overlay not being on the screen, but we simply, it's not working right now. So not much to do about that. They have another Beetle and a Village Rites, so we simply might not be able to race them. Maybe if we can find like an Ethereal Armor off this Rumble will be good, but this is just 7 plus 3 for every creature they sacrifice. We're gonna start with a Rumble. If we hit like another Rancor, it's kind of awkward that we have to tap this way, but I want the ability to play a 1-drop that's white, and I do find the Ethereal Armor. We're definitely gonna take that, I think. I could Ancestral Mask. That's not as big of a buff this turn, because we actually get to play Rancor and Ethereal Armor. And now it's gonna be a lot harder for them to race us, because we're gonna have an enormous lifelinker, which if they can't kill, will just win us the game. Not quite next turn unless we get another Aura, because this is only a little less than half their life total, but gaining 8 a turn is pretty nice. They have another Sage and another Sage, so this is plus 5 for each, so that's 15 damage, plus the 7 they have is 22. It's not quite lethal, so I could block to prevent some of the damage here, or I could just let it go, because then it might be bigger next turn. But then if they get like a Shambling Gas to pick off this spawn, it's kind of bad. I think we'll just block here. Obviously we're blocking the biggest one. They just let that go. Utopia Sprawl, grows our guy by 1, which is not lethal because they're going to have chump blockers for it. I mean, they could just throw 1 in front and they survive here. We go to 30 though. Currently they have 4 times 3 is 12 plus their 7 is 19 damage. So they need 4 more creatures to sacrifice to make it lethal, which with 3 cards is definitely possible if they just have 2 double body creatures or 1 double body creature and 2 other creatures. Looks like they clearly don't have that exactly, because they're debating, or maybe they're just doing the math, as you always should when playing that deck. And they have an Accursed Centaur. 2/2 when it enters, sacrifice a creature for a black mana. I have not seen that one in the deck before. It's kind of cool. They sack itself, so that does count as one of their 4 creatures they need because, oh, okay, it's a zombie and they have Ghoul Color's Chant, so then they can play the Ghast, sacrifice it for a treasure, replay the Centaur. I believe that's just a little bit short though. It's gonna be like 4 damage short, I think, unless they have something else. Yeah, because currently they have 12 plus 12 off of these. Marauder does 2 more, so that's 4 short. They say they can do 28, but not quite enough. We're able to dodge. Mask of Law and Grace. I mean, we're really bad against a Cursed Marauder, so just more creatures, like Standard Bearers getting put in just to block against that might be worth it. They do get pinged off by Shambling Ghasts. Mask of Law and Grace just so that they can't block anything could be okay. Ram Through seems decent. Lifelink helps us race. Hyena, Umbra, and Sentinel's Eyes don't seem super relevant. Well, Vigilance is pretty good, actually. First Strike's fine, but the Umbra doesn't really matter because it's going to get sacrificed to their effects. They're probably not going to bring in any Snuff Outs or anything if they have them because we have mostly hexproof creatures, so I think leaving in Gnarlids makes sense. Rumble is good against edicts that are not a Cursed Marauder, that cares about non-tokens. It is just good in general, but I don't know if it's what we need here. I'm going to cut a couple Rumbles. I think I'm going to cut a couple Abundant Growths. Then maybe we only bring in a couple Standard Bearers. The Bearers are not great. They're just extra creatures, which can be good. This having 2 creatures is pretty decent. We don't have a lot of buffs. We have Rumble to find something. 2 creatures so we don't die immediately to an Accursed Marauder. Law and Grace can make it so even if we have a small guy, they can get in for some damage. They mulligan to 5, so maybe some rough draws, maybe specifically looking for Marauder. And of course, if they just like unearth the Marauder, I can't do much about that. I think we're just going to start with a Sprawl. We don't have a lot of damage to do quickly anyway, so we might as well ramp a little bit. They attack for 1. Village Rites this guy? Yeah, to draw. Looks like they're looking for a second land, which they find. Bone Picker's not bad. We get a Ledge Walker, so I think we put down 2 creatures here. They have a Beetle and another Beetle. Get in for 3 if they want to go on the offensive, which is kind of a tough call. I think I probably would have, but I respect that they're not. I think we'll start with an Abundant Growth, or excuse me, a Malevolent Rumble. Rancor seems decent. Actually, Ethereal Armor seems pretty good with all the things we have going around. We can't play it this turn, but we just have a lot of auras. Abundant Growth here, and we'll just pass. They know we have the armor. Shambling Ghast. Pick off this spawn if they want, which is relevant. Yeah, it makes it so I don't have a blocker. And another Beetle. I mean, if they get an Accursed Marauder in addition to wiping one of our guys, they'll also just grow their board enormously. Also, picking off that spawn's pretty annoying because we were thinking about playing a 3-drop and a 1-drop, and now we cannot. I guess we will just growth here. It grows our armor. Also, maybe just gets us a land, which is decent because land insulates us from a Cursed Marauder a lot. So we're just going to put a bunch of creatures on the field here. So Marauder's not as good. Although if they have a Drown in Sorrow, which they brought in, which is totally possible, it's going to be pretty good. But we now get to buff up the Ledge Walker and start getting in. But theoretically, I mean, they only have 1 card in hand, so I'm feeling pretty good. But theoretically, if they had like Drown in Sorrow into... Oh, they have a Corrupted Conviction for the Bone Picker. So yeah, if they have like Drown in Sorrow into a Cursed Marauder, that's going to lose us the game for sure. Next turn, I get to make this 9 power with life gain, though. They're attacking for 8. I think we'll take it this turn. They don't have any way to buff it anymore. Ash Barrens, might as well cycle that. Armadillo Cloak and Mask of Law and Grace. All right, they just concede. I assume they didn't bring in Drown in Sorrow then as an out. But yeah, a Cursed Marauder, assuming they have that, which I assume they will. Of course, it's a staple in the deck, but they would have to use it 4 times to get through, and that's just not looking to be the case. We gain a bunch of life here, and we take the game. This hand looks pretty decent. Creatures, some buff spells, and not bad mana. We're against red, which should be a good matchup for us, I believe. If we could just get life link going, it could just be GG from there. I wasn't going to just throw out a Bogle because theoretically they could have like End the Festivities main deck, but then we drew another one, so I figure might as well get the damage going. They swing for 1 and grab the prize with a Lava Dart. We need to find life gain fast for sure, because they are going pretty aggressive. We will Abundant Growth here, Utopia Sprawl. I guess we just Hyena Umbra and don't attack, so we can at least prevent the damage here. As soon as we have lifelink, we win the race, and before then we're losing the race pretty substantially, so let's not let them get in for any extra damage. They have a Tomb Raider, which they also can't attack in with. Looks like it might be the Melded Moxite deck. There it is. Nailed it. Just because the true Red Madness isn't really playing Tomb Raider. Just another forest. Well, we do get to put down a Gnarlid here, which is a 5/5. And I think, again, we can get in for 2, but if they play like another Tomb Raider attack in and then like bolt the Gnarlid, if we block, they trade. It's not great for us. I kind of think if we don't find Trample, or at least some... I feel like if we don't gain... I feel like if we don't find lifelink, we're probably going to be in a rough spot in general, or at the very least, if we don't find like a way to make the Gnarlid enormous. If we just find like an Ancestral Mask, maybe this can be a 2-turn clock and we're in a good spot, but they're putting us to 11 here, and we are just drawing forests. Well, now we're going to go on the offensive, and I'm just going to play 2 Slippery Bogles, which will act as blockers, I think. And remember, they can't chump block the Gnarlid, which is decent anyway. They bolt us on the end step, so we'll see if we just die here. Flame Breather does not inspire me with confidence to survive. Another Tomb Raider. So Kraken with everything. I think we'll just chump block these 2. This is our best chance to survive, and I think it's pretty much lifelink or bust anyway off the top. If they have like Bolt, Fire Blast, we're dead regardless, so it doesn't matter. But Armadillo Cloak would give us 8 life here off the Gnarlid. And it was a Plains. Well, last turn it felt like we had to attack, now with 4 creatures looking down at us. If there's any way we survive, it's by not attacking here. But another Bolt is just about lethal on board. Technically, we block here, we don't take... Oh, they have a Lava Dart in the graveyard, actually. We're dead. I forgot about that. So, we get lifelink, we get Masks of Law and Grace, and Ram Through's kind of a way, if we have lifelink, to like gain an extra burst of life, which could be decent. I think that's it from us. Gnarlid technically can be targeted by their stuff. Should be big enough that it shouldn't die too easily. Hyena Umbra, I think, can come out for the masks. Rumbles, we don't have a ton of time to dirtle and like an Abundant Growth. But yeah, I mean, we have 4 Armadillo Cloaks in the main deck. I guess a lot of decks previously that I've played or tried had like a lifelink in the main deck. This one didn't have that, just the Armadillo Cloaks, so fewer targets than usual. If we had green, this hand is okay. Without green, it's unkeepable. Obviously, we're looking for lands and lifelink. And this has lands, I guess. Turn 1, we Sprawl. Turn 2, Glade Cover, Sentinel's Eyes, maybe? I guess I should keep this Ash Barrens. So I think I need the Rumble to try to find lifelink, though. So do I get rid of these? That feels rough. 3 lands. I think maybe we get rid of the Ash Barrens and we get a little greedy. Get rid of the Sentinel's Eyes, I guess. If we find our lifelink, most of which is 3 mana anyway, we're going to need the mana for the mask anyway. I guess Rumble makes our 3rd mana just once. I don't know. Not a great hand, but I think decent for trying to do what we're trying to do. Another Sprawl. Well, I'm gonna just Rumble here. We do find an Armadillo Cloak. It's gotta just be that, I think. Although we technically have no way to play a Scout and buff it right away, which is pretty important because they might have End the Festivities to try to kill it if it's just a 1/1. So, I mean, it looks like next turn we're going to go Sprawl on this, and then the following turn, if we haven't lost the spawn and like anything else has changed, then we can go Scout Cloak, which is decent, and then we can go Ancestral Mask and we'll have a big Scout, and that should win us the game. But they might just take out the spawn, especially if they have a Lava Dart, they probably will. But if it's a Bolt, it's a harder sell because it uses a full card that deals 3 damage versus a half card that deals 1. But yeah, they have the Dart. They do pick off the spawn, which is pretty annoying, to be honest. Grab the prize, a Lightning Bolt. I could definitely use a land. Another Bogle. Well, I'm going to Sprawl this on green. We're just going to pass. If they brought in like Raise, just blow up this land, then we probably just lose, but we're hoping that doesn't happen. Raise kind of goes in and out of playability, or at least showing up in sideboards, and I haven't seen it recently. We have a Moxite with Fiery Temper, maybe. No, a Snacker. And a Tomb Raider. Okay, a land drop would be very good. Any land drop at all. Even that is fine, because we can still play a Glade Cover Scout and put a Cloak on it. And now, I guess maybe I should have, that was a little hasty, maybe I should have just put Mask, because it would be a bigger creature. Because like if they attack him with the Tomb Raider, I know they must have a way to deal this damage around the hexproof, so having it be a 5/5 might have just been better. But if it survives and then we get a mask on it next turn, that should be good enough, I think. 9 life gain. Alright, they can't attack in, which is nice. Double Flame Breather. If there's any way to kill us through a bunch of lifelink, it's going to be that. Abundant Growth is pretty good, though, because it just redraws. It also makes this tap for anything, and also it grows our mask. So, like, if we get, like, another land here, then I can play a Bogle. Alright, yeah, so I can play the mask here as well as a Bogle for a blocker. But this might just win the game right here. 11 Trample, life gain. Life link, but not really. Puts us to 25. They have another Moxite, which pings for 2. They swing for 4 here. I don't really think that they can get us from 19, but I might as well just block because this Bogle's not doing anything anyway. And we get a life link to really seal the deal. Technically, we don't win this turn because they can chump block, but I think gaining 22 is definitely going to put them off of any chance of winning. So I think we just do that again. All right, this is a turn 2 Gnarlid as just a 3/3, which means I'm not going to do that. Actually, no, because I can do another Sprawl first. It could be a 4/4. That's still maybe a little risky. This hand seems pretty good. It's very fast and aggressive, I think. We have no life gain, but we can get protection from red. Seems solid enough. Ram through can be decent, although we currently don't have Trample in hand, but using it to take out a Flame Breather could be pretty good. Another Forest, so yeah, so I could Sprawl onto this and play a Gnarlid as a 4/4, but then if they just have 2 bolts or a bolt and a Lava Dart, it's kind of bad, which means there's no reason to, because next turn I can play with like mask and stuff, and then it probably can't be killed. It's just a waste. It's a shame we're wasting so much mana this turn, but I think it's probably for the best, and might as well spread these out. We have no reason they need to be on the same land like an Arbor Elf, and if they do play Raise or something, it'd be nice to not have it all blown up. They miss a land drop, but they get another Flame Breather down. Okay, that is scary. Okay, they don't miss a land drop. Only 2 cards in hand. You get a Plains. So I can't ram through this turn unless I want to leave my Gnarlid unprotected again, which I don't. So I think we're just going to play Gnarlid with a Mask of Longgrace and an Ethereal Armor. Make it a 10/10. If we can find lifelink, obviously that should keep us alive. If we find Trample, like even a Rancor, ram through on a guy, which will trample over, and then we hit for 12, or I guess it'd be like 14. That should just win us the game if we don't die right here, which we could to like 3 bolts or bolt and Lava Dart and the like. Grab the Prize with the Snacker is 4 damage at us. A Galvanic Blast for 6 total damage. We're at 7, so any bolt or anything with an attack is going to be lethal. Lava Dart is the same. It puts us to 1. They attack with everything. Unfortunate. If only we had a way to give this lifelink instant speed, gain 10. I guess we weren't drawing anything for 3 turns, so we were going to die regardless, but definitely felt like we should have gotten that one. All right, we are against Barf, who is going to be playing some form of Faeries, and we have... This is basically a no-lander because it has no colored sources. That's not going to work for us. This one is okay, I guess, because we have planes into green source, into Rumble. I guess we put back these 2. Yeah, that's what we'll do. And any version of Faeries he's playing is probably going to be tough for us to beat. Looks like it could just be mono blue. I guess we'll get a Ledge Walker off while they're tapped out. Swing. Just get down a Ninja right away. Okay. Not the worst thing for us. I mean, I could play a Gnarlid, but it's a 2/2, so that trades. I could play an Ancestral Mask, but that doesn't give any buffs. So I think we Rumble so that I have a chump blocker and we get a land, I guess. I guess we'll take a Gnarlid. Not looking great, this hand. Overcosted into counter spells and currently very underperforming. Good old Gray Ogre and nothing at all. Ethereal Armor. Well, I guess we'll play a Gnarlid. It can't get spell stuttered, so it'll have to get full counterspelled or snapped, which is not unlikely. Bind the Monster. See, this is why our Gnarlid feels really weird, especially in game 1, is that we're just giving power to these cards that are supposed to be dead. That's the whole point of our deck. We have another Ninja going, and replay the Seer. I mean, they tap out, which means they can get this armor down. Oh, that's hilarious. Bind the Monster actually buffs the Gnarlid because it's +1/+1 for each aura on the battlefield. And these are +2/+2 for each other enchantment on the battlefield. So I actually can play a Mask on the Ledge Walker to make it be able to block a Ninja. Because I could Armor, which does the same thing, but it's 3 mana. It's a waste of a 1-drop here. So I think we just do this. thank them for the bind the monster. And I'm not getting in for 3 when they have these blockers, or rather these attackers. If they want to trade one of them, that's fine, but oh, they snap the Gnarlid. So the bind the monster falls off, so the Ancestral Mask is only +1/+1, or rather +0/+0. We lose our guy. Okay, well, not only outplayed, but also just our cards. I mean, we mulligan to 5. Then our deck just looked really bad. Guess we get Pyroblasts here. Ram through maybe. But Gnarlid, I mean, I don't know if they'll keep snaps and stuff in, but Gnarlid just felt bad there. Well, I guess we can play some of our spells. Don't really want to mulligan to Oblivion again. Opponent decides to do that for us. Sorry, 5 us. Bogle down. I can't attack because then they could just Brine Barrow. And without a white source, I can't make these big enough to attack in, which is pretty annoying. So I guess we'll just pass here. If I had 1 planes, then I could like Rancor, and if they spell started that, I could get an armor down, something like that. The Miscreant and just pass. Cloak. I'd really rather save these to play out on the same turn as like one of these. Miscreant attacking in. They got the Ninja for it. And another Cloak. Nice. I guess we'll pass. I will trade these off. They have a Miscreant. Just give me a planes. That's not a planes. Pass back to them. Maybe there's a reason I haven't shown this deck off on the channel. It doesn't do anything. Another Rancor. I mean, this doesn't even buff toughness, so I could like put 2 Rancors on this. Even if those resolve, I can't attack in because any flash flyer just trades with it. So I think I'll pass. Get rid of his Sentinel's Eyes. Swing, big Ninja coming down, which I assume means they found a 4th island. Maybe not. Maybe just an Annul in hand. Pyroblast, amazing. Okay, well, I'll play a Glade Cover Scout, and I'll play a Rancor on it. Then I assume Spell Piercer Annul, so I'll play a Rancor on this, so it can trade for the Ninja, and I guess I'll get in for 1. Fairy Seer, of 1 mind, and no attack. We have a Rumble, which they can just spell Stutter, so I'm gonna save that. I guess I'll block here. Trade Miscreant, and they pass. Another Forest, amazing. I will Rancor onto this to see if that draws anything out. There's a Spell Stutter. I'm gonna Rumble and hope that they don't have a Spell Pierce, but just an Annul. Yes, so now they have, well, problem is I only found a Utopia Sprawl, which they can counter with an Annul. I didn't find an actual regular old white source. But what are you going to do? I'm going to cast it. They didn't have the Spell Pierce, but yeah, I assume they'll have the Annul. What a fantastic deck. End game. Swing for 3. No Ninja. Here's another Rumble. That one they got a counterspell for. I'll pass. Swing for 3. Here's a Bogle. We'll pass. They found a Ninja, so Spell Stutter back in hand, so now it doesn't matter, even if I find a white source. There's an Abundant Growth. I wonder if they'll let that resolve. Alright, that was 13 turns, and we only found 2 of our white sources. We have 4 Abundant Growth, 4 Utopia Sprawl, 3 Plains, and 2 Ash Barrens, for a total of 13 sources, or roughly 1 in every 5 cards, so I should have seen 5 of them. This is actually a semi-reasonable hand. We're against Tron, which feels like it should be a good matchup for us. They're unlikely to have much interaction, so our hexproof doesn't really matter, but we also just have a pretty aggro strategy. Next turn, we get down, we can cast Rumble into Ledgewalker, and then the following turn we can just Cloak and then Mask. They do have the Tron on turn 3. We'll start with the Rumble. Ethereal Armor is going to speed up the clock as much as possible. Candy Trail makes me think it's probably Alter Tron versus like Flicker Tron, which should have even less interaction probably. They do have to sack the map here, so 2 mana that they have access to. Play a Prism, so we will Ethereal Armor, Ancestral Mask, hit in for 8, and then next turn we can make that 13 with the Cloak. And we'll just get a turn 4 win. If they don't have anything, never mind. They have a Candy Trail. So that can keep them alive for a turn, I believe. They could also just have a Fangren Marauder here. Okay. They need a way to sack an artifact for 1 mana, though. Or have another land drop. Cycle a Generous Ent for Forest. Ethereal Armor actually does even more damage. So we'll just hit them for 15, which even gets through the Candy Trail. If they could sack it, well, now it would gain them 8. I guess they could have Crop Rotation into sack the Candy Trail, but they don't. Nice. All right, we got them there. I don't really know if there's anything we need for Tron. I mean, if this can stop their combo, but surely we should be faster than them for combo. They're not going to have Fogs. Don't know if any of this is relevant. Maybe a Ram Through to kill a Fangren Marauder if they're gaining way too much life with it. Vigilance doesn't seem necessary, I guess. This is not keepable with no colored sources. I feel like this is the type of hand you probably should just mulligan because it's got no creatures, but if we find one creature, it's pretty decent, and going down to 5 feels bad. They are down to 5. We have 12 creatures in the deck. We'll give it a try. I mean, if we don't find a creature, that's the thing about this deck. If we just don't find a creature, it's not a game at all. We just lose. And, you know, I'd have to talk with a Bogles expert to see if this is the type of hand to keep. I wouldn't have kept this on 7, right? I would have dug a little bit, but on 6, it feels like, well, how much better is it getting at 5? It could get a lot better, but it could be worse. So, I don't know. Sprawl on green. And I mean, they're on 5, which both means that it gives us more time to find a creature, but it also means that if we mulligan and find like a decent hand, we could have at least taken advantage of it better. I don't know. I mean, they get to duress whatever. Like probably Ethereal Armor just because it's the cheapest. Yeah, cheapest, but most effective. All right. Gnarlid off the top, or any creature actually. I'd be okay with anything. Let's not get greedy. Cycle a Generosent for their forest. They are hitting some land drops. Another duress maybe. Yep. Okay. I mean, they have 1 card in hand and only 1 piece of Tron. So if we still just hit like a Bogle here, I think we can have a pretty good shot. I guess Malevolent Rumble's pretty decent too. It gets us a creature and maybe finds us another creature. But of course, we're not going to find anything. I guess with the Rumbles though, we have 16 hits for creatures. They find another tower, which is nice for us. We find more auras. They do find a map. I feel like they're doing better than us, getting better draws, but also if we hit 1 creature, we could just end the game in a couple turns, but we're not going to do that. They cycle another Generosent so that they can play another, or like a Fangren Marauder, probably. Ancient Stirrings. Finds them a Maelstrom Colossus. Oh, okay. It's just Monster Tron. Okay. We have a Gnarlid, which is technically susceptible to removal. We are going to hope they don't have removal. And I guess armor makes it as big as it possible. I mean, this makes it a 6/6. I'm trying to think what they could have. I mean, if they're playing what I tried out, which is the Pinnacle Kill Ship, that can deal 10. I'm not going to be able to get this above 10 here. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it'd be 7. I think we just do the Cloak for mana efficiency. Not that it should matter. We have 6. So, and our highest cost card is 3. So we should be able to play anything anyway. They have another map, so that finds Tron. So they can cast the Colossus. But I'm about to be bigger than the Colossus. So unless it cascades into something scary, we might be okay. And it's another map. That's fine. Totally fine. And we get a ram through, and we're about to have Trample. Well, suddenly this became insane. And this is what I was saying. I mean, we definitely were really close to dying. Or rather just, you know, if we were a couple turns slower, we would have died. But now we get in for 14, gain 14 life, and then we get to ram through their 7/7, gain another 14 life, and put them to 2. That's kind of sick. Now we're at 48. I guess if they get a Fangren Marauder and some cantripping artifacts, they could survive. Or if they just have removal and have a cast down or something. But Crystal Grotto, put that to the bottom. They have an Annoyed Altasaur, looks like, with double green. No, just a Marauder. They just over tapped for it. Expedition map finds Nurse's Tower. So no utility lands to pull out. We get a Malevolent Rumble. I mean, I think we just got him dead, but let's Rumble, see if we can make this even bigger. All right. Well, we got there against Monstertron. Got a 2/3. I can't say this has ever been my favorite deck, and we kind of saw why. It's very all or nothing. It's very variant spaced. Whether you get lucky, it can certainly get trophies, but it also feels like it just loses to itself very often. And generally, I prefer decks that are a little more stable, a little more consistent. But Gnarlid was kind of cool. I do feel like maybe if we get better with the deck, we wouldn't walk into so many issues with it. Against Faeries, it felt like it was just a super liability. We also just had kind of a poor draw against them, but the fact that they could use their Bind the Monsters and their snaps felt like it was pretty bad for us, but still kind of interesting. I always like showing off different decks. I like to have any non-combo deck. You know, it's nice to have at least one video of it on the channel so that I can kind of have a library of decks that have existed, I suppose. In any case, thank you so much for watching, and thank you to my patrons, including my $10 patrons, Howard Granger, Laars, JMW, Rafa Rodriguez, JDNPX, Jason Golombuski, Groma, Halkaz, Ricardo Pasqualato, and Cody Cowell. I really appreciate the support, and I will see you all next time.